So let's all take a deep breath. And I'm really, really looking forward to this group sharing what you got out of this. And hopefully I'll learn from that and I can do better the next time. So thank you all for being here. Thank you all for participating and open yourself up to change. I know things are going to be better for you because you have more information to work with. I also hope that you felt some validation from other people who have gone the same places that you've gone. You know, I think when we're doing things that make us feel shameful, it makes us feel very, very isolated. And one of the great things about the 12 steps of recovery is that you start to hear, oh, they've done this too. I'm not so pathetic, you know, I'm not so disgusting. Other people have had the same kind of issues, same kind of fears, same kind of problems. So Susan Swanson was telling me some of what she learned. Can you share with them what you learned, hon?
Well, I was telling Irene that the exercise that we did the very first day when we made the squares and said during different chunks of our being alive what money meant to us and what was going on about money, that it was a visual, which I like visuals a lot. It's a visual right in my face of when it started and when this relationship with money I kept reinforcing it with every choice I made, every relationship I got in, every job that I had. I always played with it in the same way. I had shame about it. I had that thing like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm asking for $1 from my husband. And my choices of marrying somebody who did exactly what my father did my whole life, which is, how do you think I'm going to pay for that? And all of that is the vein that went through it was long and isn't ending yet. It's definitely not as big and bad as it has been in prior years. It's much better. I don't allow it to happen as much, but it's still there. And when I did my homework, which was I had to look at my interest rates and stop being vague about everything. And I told Irene the vagueness feels like it was like a defense mechanism. It saved me from like, and so rather than confront the monster, which is you're really bad at saving money and you're really bad at spending money, and your choices are terrible and how could you be so stupid? Like, the vagueness was like, la la la, I have enough for today and all I have to do is one day at a time. And it's not bode well with my finances through my life. So it's a big thing right at the beginning of the workshop, and then hearing the other people talk about having the same kinds of fears and anxieties and worries, and talking about how we're not doing it right. And I saw every woman as a powerful woman, and yet they're saying the same stuff that I am thinking and living, and I don't see myself as powerful. So it was, and the more people shared, the more power I saw. Like, I just said, well, they're awesome. Like, so I think the group thing has always worked better for me in most cases, because I can feel everybody else's feelings, and then sometimes I can say that's how I am. But I got a lot of not aha, but just like, it's okay. It's all right. You're not a loser, and you're still okay, and you are okay today. So, and I thank you for that.
Perfect. How about you, Bonnie? Did you get anything out of the class?
She's muted.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Do you want to share anything?
Sure. What I got out of the class was, I got a lot of things out of the class. I immediately stopped my binge spending. I've only spent on groceries since we started this workshop about $150, and that's enough for 3 more weeks for me. That's big for me. and another $14 for a yoga chair class, which I've been doing, which if I wouldn't have been in this class because of the promises I made for myself,
Sure.
I wouldn't do that every day. Yeah, and I totally related with the couch buy-in that Suzanne was struggling with. And I'm sure you remember that, Irene.
Oh, yeah.
Man, oh man, I wanted to say out loud, go ahead, Susan, just go buy it. And but it took me a while, but because of just making that decision, I knew exactly the kind of couch I wanted, and I had been looking for the couch. And one day when I was coming back from Massachusetts, Bob's Discount, where I bought my furniture all my life, I just went in there and seen the couch right in front of me. So yeah, go for it, Suzanne. Mine was about the same thing as you had wanted. Mine's like a tan, light tan leather. It's beautiful. So I'm grateful because, as you know, Irene, a few years back, I did come into, some good inheritance money when my mom passed. And what I got in touch with too with this workshop was, as a little kid, I worked in those fields from sun up to sundown till I left that farm, and it has paid me back abundantly. And I've stopped that binge spending with this workshop, and I'm grateful because I probably ordered on Amazon every other day. Things I didn't really need, but I wanted. And it feels so much better. It feels like, well, I think for me that binge spending was just to make myself feel better at the moment.
Sure.
Because I do, next month I'll be the big 8 decades. I can't believe it. And
Is there
I wanna
fear?
make sure
Is there
that
fear about that turning 80?
I don't even know how I got here. I don't even know how I got here, Irene.
I know. At 74, I'm the same way. Like, I have no idea how this happened. Right. But do you think you have some fear about that
Yeah,
ego?
Not so much about the AO, is my health isn't 100%,
Okay. So fear about your
and
health.
and
So shopping gives you a diversion for a few minutes.
yeah,
Sure.
but I feel better. I feel better. I don't
Good.
need a whole lot of, because I am decluttering now. I am, at 15 minutes in my closet, and then I take an hour for myself, and I get my closet cleaned, and it feels good. But it's hard. It's hard for me to give up things, and I don't like that. I don't need things,
Right.
But I've gotten a lot of this. I thank you for this. That's why I signed up for it. I said, I'll go in and out with the binge spending because I want to make sure that I have plenty, before that I'm comfortable. Before, my God takes me home.
God takes you home. Thanks, sweetie.
Yeah.
So Suzanne, we're ready to hear about you, friend.
Oh my. Well,
I want to tell you something. Whatever you did, I'm gonna love you anyway. So don't
yeah,
feel like you
thank
got to
you.
prove yourself, okay?
Cause I could feel the guilt. Like, oh
All
my
right.
God.
I
'Cause-
hope you just feel the consciousness about what you were feeling. Go ahead, honey.
Yeah, because I didn't get a couch, but
Okay.
my father died 2 weeks ago, and so I didn't. This is strange because it's all intertwined. I thought grief was new, and when I was sitting in it one day, like the physical pain of it and really feeling it, I realized it wasn't new, and so I started looking into it a bit more, and I don't know, it's like this huge light bulb went off, like that anytime you have a loss, there's grief. And So related to all of this not spending money is my husband had an affair in 2003 and then said it was over. And then I found out in 2006 when we were moving here from another province and I'd given up my business and given up my home and given up everything, that it hadn't ended until like right then. And I, like, throughout that time, that 3 years and after, I was in this place of, like, I was very asleep before that. Even though I was spiritual, I didn't have the course or anything. I found the course because of that. But I've realized, like, in the last few days, it's hit me how so much of what I've been living, I think, has been that grief cycle. Like these last umpteen years and this stuckness I felt and this inability to move and make decisions like the couch has been related to that. And it's been the death of my father that's brought this up. And it's like this big light bulb went on somehow.
So when we, just one moment, when we
Yeah.
grieve anything, it's like pulling yarn on a sweater. It unravels all the unresolved grief inside of us. So it showed up like your father, and then it started pulling on that yarn, and you're unraveling all this grief that's in there. But the fact that you were sitting conscious with it, that you were just paying attention to it, because you made a promise that you really look at your spending. The spending makes us look at everything, or you're not spending. It really makes us come on home and listen. So I didn't mean to interrupt, but continue.
No, thank you for that. And that's, I've heard that bit too in these last few days. And so along with the not spending, there's also, like, my taxes aren't done yet. There's also, I can relate with you, Susan, what other people have said about wanting to stay in the vagueness or not wanting to, like, right now, I feel like I should be looking at all of our finances and going, okay, what the hell? We got this global crisis going on. Where should our money be? Like, very consciously. And I'm scared to death of it. And so even doing the taxes, I did go to them on Saturday, I think it was, and it felt good, like, to actually get in there and actually start doing it. But I want to sit with that resistance, like that bodily felt resistance of, okay, what is it in me that's stopping me from doing that, like that and the couch? Like, I mean, they're different, but
So I would encourage you to not use why. Why will take you in your head and you'll spin
Okay.
around in that stuff. I would encourage you to kind of like close your eyes and breathe in and say, what does my resistance feel like? Oh, it feels like
yes,
I got
yeah,
a
totally.
chokehold. I got a knot in my stomach.
Yeah.
What's going on? And let yourself just journal that as much as you can.
Okay, yeah.
And that commitment to just sitting with it it's going to bring information to you.
Right. And I typically do go to the body because I know that's where I get the real answers,
Yep.
like they find me. And so this has felt, I've loved this class. Like,
Okay.
I feel like, I mean, I'm only like here because another piece of it, 'cause I'm also doing Lisa Natoli's 40 days, is the I'm alone. Like, I'm really seeing how that belief, it's feeling like it's coming undone now. It's shifting. I think for me has been underneath like so many patterns in my life.
And if you
That
really truly believe that you're all alone, of course you would hang on to every dollar you have, right?
Oh yeah, like money, really, I felt it. I saw it inside, how money has taken, and money in the bank account has taken the place of parents, like in that safety and security, because it's given me the sense partly of what I always had hoped for from them, but never really felt like I got. So it's like I've sort of done my best to create it for myself, that and even staying in my marriage, because I'm recognizing how terrified a part of me has been.
To go stand on your own.
Yeah, because I'm alone.
Right.
Like how
Right.
terrifying that belief is, and I'm coming to see it's not true, and yet there's all this conditioning around it, like how I've set up my life and well, my patterns and my so just continuing to know.
So remember when I first started, one of the first words I gave you guys to look at was God, whatever you called God. And that for us as kids, when we were being raised, mom and dad, or whoever had the place of mom and dad, they were our gods. They were how we defined God. They were the
Yeah.
gods of our understanding. So when we feel completely isolated, I know that you believe there's a higher power. I know you're in the Course in Miracles. All right, you believe there's a higher power. So you've now, this, you know, the money, the bank account has become the highest power. It's what you trust. It's where you put your trust.
Mhm,
And
mhm,
one of the words that
mhm.
people use when we were all describing the gods of our understanding, one of the words people use, I think it was like unreliable, like you couldn't trust what this
Yeah.
God was going to do, like you can't trust what your parents are going to do, you know, and there's that fear, like I can't trust what I should do with my money right now. There's only one choice. And I told you all that I work with those financial planners for 10 years, and I'm not an investment person. That's not what I'm saying. But I know that every one of them would say, all you need to do is diversify whatever it is you're doing with your money, and maybe you might be more comfortable with the whole thing in cash, so you don't have to take all this up and down, but you're the one that needs to decide that. And you know, there is no 100% guarantee about that. There's a risk to all of this, to every decision we make, right? The
Mhm.
decision to stay with your husband is a risk. The decision to live with your husband is a risk. The risk to stay with him is, I'm just making this up, but maybe you're walking around watching all the exits and never being able to relax in your marriage because you don't know when you're going to get slammed again. You know, maybe there's work that you guys have to do and you don't want to do it. You just don't want that boat to rock. So it's costing you whatever it's costing you energetically, you
Mhm.
know?
Oh God, I know energetically because I feel like I've been dying a slow death.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So maybe that couch is more symbolic than you know about you standing in a decision, you know, that like Susan was saying, for her to look at her charge account and to see what the interest was and around the car and what it was costing her, she was like, oh, I don't want to open it. I don't want to open it. But I think I understood you, Susan, to say it feels better now that you did it and you got it out on the table. But the jumping in was like, you know, it's that jumping in the cold water. It was really, really scary at first. So I want to honor that you shared that with us and you didn't hide from it, that you told us about it. I know you're going to be better off for it because your answers lie inside of you. They're
Mhm.
yours.
And I think I'm finally, oh my God, I've been so much work, but finally coming to that place of finding me, like that I exist. This is going to sound so weird, but
No,
that
it
I
doesn't.
actually exist independent of everybody else, and that I have value and worth, and that I'm allowed to choose what I want, and I'm allowed to have what I want, and I'm not bad if that's different.
And you're not going to be punished for it.
Yes. Oh my
So where
God.
do you feel so I would give you a journaling assignment. And that journaling assignment would be to write 101 I wants.
Okay.
So you keep rewriting the word I want, fill in the blank. I want, fill in the blank. And it could, whatever's the first thoughts that come to mind, like, you know, I want a pizza for lunch. I want this list to be done. I want the knot in my stomach untied. You know, like whatever comes up. I want to vacuum this living room. You know, like what, just let it come for 101. All right. And have a
Okay.
notice what your resistance is saying. You know, one time I did this years ago when I was doing some money work, and I wrote, I want to know what it's like to own a luxury car. Okay. And as soon as I wrote that down, I was like, who do you think you are, Missy? That's ridiculous. You know, you don't need to be spending money on a luxury car. Well, but I mean, I could just watch. I just went, oh, like that. Well, what
Yeah.
ended up happening after I finished this class was I was able, through a really good friend, to buy a used luxury car that was better than any other car I could have afforded on the lot, you know, and it served me for 10 years and it was great. It was great. I mean, I don't have to tell you how that's going to show up, how I'm going to get that, but that I have
Right.
a right to like look at it. I wouldn't even try it on. I was so resistant.
Yes.
So it was that not deserving, not deserving. you know, and being raised in a church that advocated, you know, pledges to poverty. So I have poverty up on a pedestal somewhere. But thank you very, very much for sharing. And I'm going to see Allison's here. So Allison, do you have something you'd like to share about what you got out of the class? And we've got about 2-3 minutes left. Good to see you.
Good to see you. I think, you know, for me, last week was one of the most difficult weeks I've had in a long time, related to health stuff and the politics around my chronic illness. So it was hard for me to focus on like the homework and stuff.
Sure.
But I think it's, you know, it's definitely been helpful for me to, you know, just be in the group and be able to, you know, listen to other people talking and, you know, have that sense of connection and, you know, a sense that, you know, that things can get better. And it's not like I'm in a money crisis right now, but I have had a breakthrough, health-related breakthrough that if it proves to be successful, then I may be able to return to work. And, you know, so I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I actually have done some work-related stuff. I did some writing last night on a sequel to my novel. So, you know, and that felt really good. And
Oh, good. Oh, good, good, good. You are such a gifted writer.
oh, thanks.
Fabulous,
Thank you.
fabulous. So I'm so glad you joined us.
Yeah,
So
me
Karen?
too. Yeah.
Karen, do you have something you'd like to add to the class of 2020?
Just that it's so great to have heard everybody's stories and the conversation and the way people are learning from everybody else. And I would really advocate, if you're up for it, to get into, to just start to listen to calls on either, depending on what your issue is, either Under Earners Anonymous, and it's Under Earners Anonymous, all one word, .org, or debtorsanonymous.org. And I would really encourage people, initially, the phone calls will feel kind of isolating or whatever, like, what am I on the phone for? But you start to recognize, sort of like here, you start to recognize people's voices, you start to recognize people's stories, and you really know that you're not alone on this journey. And I think that's been one of the greatest gifts for me. And it also helped me to really proactively start taking actions. I had stopped, I told a lot of that. But it helped me to start taking actions and let go of the expectation. You know, just let go of the expectation. It's, I had a Unity minister who used to say, pray, then move your feet. and UA and DA really helps you to do that, whatever your issue is. So if it's more of a debting issue, DA, Debtors Anonymous can be great. And if it's more of an under-being, sort of hiding in a cave kind of thing, Under Earners Anonymous will be really valuable. So I would just, and thank you, Irene. This has been just great to meet everybody and to listen to everybody. And yeah, always.
Thank you for your contributions. Suzanne, didn't she just hit the button with that, with the under earners, about under earning and under being? And you just said, I just started to realize there's a me in here.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I've been under being since it was like, well, right before my husband had the affair, I had a business. I was a senior sales director with Mary Kay, and we were like expanding, and I'd spun off directors, and it was so exciting, and we were in the flow. And then he had the affair, and it was like, boom,
Squish.
I just stopped, and it's like I've been stuck ever since. But it's like I had to go. It's like it reactivated stuff from childhood that I've had to go back and excavate. Anyway.
And I would encourage you to look at that word stuck, because it sounds like you were hiding ever since. You've been hiding ever since.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the things, Irene and Suzanne, that they talk about in Under Earners Anonymous, that we go invisible and we hide in a cave. And it's the under being thing. And that was certainly, you know, and I went through a very different, my husband was a porn addict, and I had a secret life. Irene knows this whole story. And I wound up, different people make different choices. I wound up leaving him. And it was through the leaving that I went on this whole other journey about about my own worth, my own value, my own, and it's been an exercise coming out of invisibility, and I keep doing it. And yeah, so however you decide to do it, whether you stay in the marriage or whatever, but just really allowing yourself to become visible and coming out of the cave is really the deal. Yeah.
So
And
thank you
yeah.
all. Thank you so much for doing my first Zoom class. I'm going to be doing more. I told you that you guys would get a discount for being in the first one, and certainly half price to do any sessions with me you'd like to do. And Karen has the same offer for you. You can get in touch with Karen at her website, KarenFitzgerald.com, right? No,
Not TV. .tv.
.tv, right? I knew I was
Yeah.
saying that wrong. So KarenFitzgerald.tv, and me, it's IreneTompkinson.com. All right. You also, we're going to keep the group open for a while on the Facebook page. So if you've got any questions or comments you'd like to put in there, feel free. I'm in there all the time poking around.
Yeah, I have been too. I've been checking it out, waiting for those questions. Yeah.
Or just comments too.
Oh,
If
sure.
there's any comments you'd like to make about the
Stories.
class that you'd be comfortable with me using in any kind of promo materials, I'd love that. And if you didn't like the class, you might want to keep that a secret, okay? No, just kidding, just kidding. Love you all, and I wish you the very, very best.
Thank
Love you.
Thank
Thank you
Thank
very
you
much.
all.
Thank
So
you.
great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.